What's up, guys? Hope your day is going awesome. So as you can see behind me, we have a bunch of stuff on the tailgate of the Tacoma. So I figured this would be a great opportunity to film a video on the 10 things I always carry when I go off-road. So the list of things that I carry when I go off-road or on long trips is quite long, so I wrote all those down and I picked out the 10 most important things that I try to carry every single time when I go wheeling or on long trips. So as I go over all these different items, I'm not going to be doing this in order from most important to least important. I'm just going to grab each item and talk a little bit about it. Let's go ahead and start with the recovery stuff. So, for my recovery gear, I have a tree saver, a couple soft shackles, and then I also have a synthetic tow rope. The tow rope that I have is a Voodoo tow rope. It is 24,500 pounds max. It is made in the US. I've used this for quite a while now. It is a very good tow rope. I would like to get one of the kinetic ones eventually. Those are a lot nicer because when you hook up to those and then you get a good run at it, they have a lot of stretch to them, or some stretch, and you kind of get momentum and you can yank the other vehicle out without ripping stuff like bumpers and hitches off. So those work very well. But for the time being, this has worked awesome. I would recommend these guys. It's held up great. Haven't had any issues so far. Next up are these Bigfoot winch rope soft shackles. These are amazing. I love using these things. They work flawlessly. You don't have any issues. They don't bind up. You don't have to sit there and get your D-rings off every single time. You just hook these up, hook it to your tow rope, and get yanked out. Or you can tow someone else out. It doesn't matter. They work awesome. I have not broke one of these yet. I know a couple of my buddies have, but I haven't had any issues with these yet. And then for the tree saver, this is a new one that I got. I haven't had this very long. I haven't even been able to test it out, so I don't have much for reviews on it. It is a Rhino, and it is assembled in the USA. We will see how well it does. Definitely interested to see if it works good and if it holds up. Next up is a jack. You need to carry a jack of some sort. That way, if you get a flat tire, you can be able to change that. I've got two options here for jacks. There's definitely a ton of different options out there that you can choose from. But you got your standard jack that you use in like your shop. These are on the heavier side. And then you have your more of a gear-driven bottle jack. These come in a lot of Toyotas. These work nice. They're lightweight. I'd rather carry one of these just because they're less weight and they take up less space. These are kind of big and bulky, but you can use them. Some of the things you run into for problems is these not reaching high enough, so you can, if you'd like, make some extensions. Another good option for a jack would be the high lift. A lot of people run those. They're definitely on the heavier side, but they have a lot of purposes. You can use them as kind of a come-along, and they have a big reach on them. They can be hard to mount because they're longer and they are bulkier, but that is definitely a good option. That has been used a lot in the past, so it does work and it holds up well. Next up on the list is communications. So in the Tacoma, I have a CB. I got this one just kind of as a display model here. I'll put this in a vehicle down the road, but I always carry a CB. You can also use a ham radio as long as you have your license, or if you want to use it and you don't have your license, make sure you stay off the channels that require a license. A CB radio is definitely very important. That way you can communicate between the other people that you're off-roading with, or if you have any issues, you can let them know and they can come back and help. It is definitely an awesome thing to have. I know I've gone out in the past and not had these, and it creates quite a few problems, so it is a good thing to have. Alright, next up is spare clothes, rain gear, and gloves, stuff related with that. So I always carry a set of rain gear, the pants, and the jacket. I also carry extra jackets, and then I carry a spare change of clothes, pants, socks, shirts, stuff related with that. You never know what kind of situation you're going to get into, so I like to have that stuff. You know, if you're out snow wheeling and your feet get wet, you got a spare set of socks you can put on and get your feet dry. That way you can stay warm. And if you're out alone, which you shouldn't be, you should always go with people, and you get stuck for some reason, you have extra gear to keep you warm. Next up on the list is tools. So I got my tool bag here, which is catered to this vehicle specifically. I have mostly metric stuff in this, as well as a few other things. I try to make every single bag that I do up specifically to each vehicle. That way I'm not carrying extra weight and tools that is not needed. I have exactly what I need for that vehicle in that bag. So not only do I carry hand tools, I also carry a container that has a lot of extra random stuff. like electrical tape. I got wires in here in case you have any electrical problems. You can redo the wires. I also have some clamps for fuel-related stuff. Bunch of random different fittings. There's some JB Weld in there in case you want to get a little frisky or that's all you have. This is what that container is a bunch of random stuff that can help repair you and get you off the trail so you can get back to town and fix it correctly. Another good thing to carry is spare parts. I don't carry very many, but I try to carry the most common things that break and a lot of the things that can leave you stranded that you can't fix when you're on the trail. And a lot of that stuff comes down to sensors. You know, I got extra wires here in case I burn one of those on the header. Bunch of sensors. I have bearings, spark plugs, different stuff related with that. You want to carry the most common things that break on your vehicle. That way you have them. If you end up breaking on the trail, you have the stuff to repair it. Next up on the list is spare fluids. I keep a good container like this that's full of different fluids related to this vehicle. I have engine oil, trans fluid, I have diff fluid that works in the diffs as well as the doubler, and then I have brake clean, which is awesome. If you break anything when you're off-road, you have some brake clean to clean it up. That way it's all clean when you go back together with it. Alright guys, one of the most important things you should always carry when you go off-road or if you go on long trips or just plain in general is a spare tire. I always have a spare tire with me. I try to have a full-size spare, but that's not always the case. Sometimes you don't have the funds to get a full-size spare or a matching spare, so you get a cheaper one that works. You know, I try to keep this within 2 inches when I get a spare. This is a full-size spare that I have for the Tacoma, and it is very nice to have. You can go about this several different ways. You can either get just the spare tire and carry tire irons and break down the bead and replace the tire itself, or you can carry a complete spare with a wheel and change out the whole wheel and tire as one. I prefer to have the wheel and tire as one. That way, if you mess up the wheel when you're off-road, you can change the whole unit and you're not left stranded. If you carry just the tire and then you mess up a wheel, you're kind of left there. But if you have both, it's easier to change and you're on your way. Next on the list is Onboard Air. So Onboard Air is definitely something I've had for pretty much every single off-road vehicle I've had. Whether it's at the very beginning when I first started wheeling, I had a little air compressor that hooked to the battery. It worked, it got the job done. It was definitely something that could air up my tires, which is very important because usually when you're off-road you air down. But for the most part on the other vehicles that I've had, I put an onboard air system that is hard mounted in the vehicle. I've ran engine driven ones as well as electric compressors, and in the Tacoma I have the electric compressor set up. I have videos on what I did for that on the channel, so if you want to check those out, the link will be down in the description. That is a very important thing to have. I see a lot of people that go off-road without them, and they air down, and then they're always relying on someone else to air them up. So if you have the money to spend on bumpers and winches and different things like that, I would highly suggest getting an air system so you're not always relying on someone else. And also when you go out by yourself, you have a way to air up. Alright, last on the list, but definitely one of the most important things to have is a winch. Especially if you're going to be going off-road, it is a good thing to have. That way if you get stuck, you can get yourself out and you don't have to rely on other people. Also, if you're out there by yourself for some reason, you have a way to get out and you're not stranded and have to walk back home. They can be expensive or they can be cheap. I'm definitely a fan of Warn. I've ran several of them on my off-road vehicles and they've proven to be good. The Tacoma is the first vehicle that I have not ran a Warn winch on. I'm running a Smittybilt on it, and I got to use it this last weekend at the Snow Bash, and it worked very well. I haven't had any issues with it yet so far, but I've only used it a couple times. Having a winch when you go off-road is a very important thing, and I highly suggest spending the extra money or at least trying to make an effort in getting. Alright guys, so that's going to conclude the top 10 list that I put together, but I figured I would include a little extra of a bag of other stuff that I carry. This is consumed of a lot of random other stuff. I got ratchet straps in here for some reason in case you need them. I have rope. This is paracord. This stuff works awesome in case you need to tie stuff down. I also have a power inverter in here. I don't use this too often, but when I need it, it is handy to have. I also have some bungee straps. Got those in there. I've got a few of these little wires here with alligator clips on them. These work handy if you have any electrical issues. You can help diagnose these or diagnose the problems with these. I also carry jumper cables in case someone needs a jump or you need to jump. And then back related with the recovery gear, I forgot to add that you should definitely carry a snatch block. These come in handy if you need to double the winch power. You can use these. So I always carry one of those. And then last but not least, I carry a tire plug kit. This is great in case you don't have a spare. You can plug it with this. I still carry one even though I have a spare. It's good to have in case someone else doesn't have a spare and we need to use it. I have it. Alright guys, that's going to wrap up this video on the 10 things that I won't go off-road without. Make sure to smash that like button if you like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. Got a bunch of stuff coming and I'm super excited to show you guys the new project that's going to be coming. I'm impatiently waiting to start on it, so hopefully soon we can get started on that and make some good progress and film some videos and good content for you guys. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace.